What is up, and welcome back. If this is your first time watching, we are your Emerald Coast relocation team. This video right here was actually requested from one of you guys. When you came down here to talk to us, you're like, you know what? I really wish you'd do a weather video, and we have done for certain seasons, but it's going to be a very broad explanation of the type of weather, the type of climate that we do experience here in the Emerald Coast. And I'm also going to kind of compare it a little bit to like mid and South Florida, so you get an idea of what the difference is here compared to further south when we're talking about Florida. So let's go ahead and talk about that first. Now, you can't really put the temperatures because there's a lot of times where I see that it's warmer here and it's cooler in South Florida and vice versa. Of course, it's going to be different. You know, sometimes it rains there, sometimes it rains here. The biggest thing that I did want to look at and I wanted to mention is the humidity. And this is actually a big reason why we did choose this Emerald Coast area. Is we have a property that is down right outside of Clearwater, and it is crazy humid there. And I wasn't sure if it's because I was still living in Colorado. Going down there, I actually had to just go down there just to kind of convert our property over to another renter, and it's still humid down there, guys. And when I do look at the numbers, it is looking like that typically you're looking at about 10% more humidity when we are talking about mid and also South Florida, and you can definitely feel it, especially if you're already acclimated to this area right here. And so I just pulled the numbers yesterday when I was putting these notes together. Yesterday it was about 54% humidity, where I compared down to Tampa Bay area and then also Miami area. Both of those were right around 64%. So it does kind of show that typically you're looking at about 10% more humidity, and you do feel it even if you have been living in Florida for a little bit. The second thing that we did want to cover, and we do mention oftentimes, is does it cool down here? You think being in Florida, you know, a lot of people do retire down here because they do not want to experience those severe cold temperatures they might feel like in the Midwest or further north in the United States. Does it cool down here? And Trent, I'm going to bring this question to you.
Yeah, we do get a winter season here.
Yeah.
Now, how long that winter season lasts, it changes every year. But I'd say pretty consistently, January and February, you can count on being cooler, sometimes even pretty cold. This past January or February was cold.
Yeah.
I've got even some neighbors that leave for the winter season here because they are only after the warmer temperatures. But December, November, you know, the holiday season, that's where it's kind of unpredictable. I've experienced both. I've done Christmas in my shorts and flip-flops, and I've also been down here where you really need to bundle up. So that's just something we kind of take every year.
Yeah, guys, and like I said, this is a big reason why we did choose this area. We came from Colorado, where we experienced a true 4 seasons, you know, where it gets super cold in the wintertime, you know, and then it warms up in the summertime. Where here, it feels like you pretty much experienced 2 seasons. We do have a few months, like Trent mentioned, where it does get a little bit lower. And it gets lower, guys. Like, we were doing the pool plunges in December, where our pool was like 52 degrees. We're like, man, we got a huge pool in the back that we could do our pool plunges in. So it does get cool down here, but it's nothing extreme. Just like Trent said, sometimes you might be wearing shorts, and the next day you might be having some jeans on.
Yeah, I'd say the majority of our winter feels like most people's fall. And then we'll have a couple of those, you know, weeks or a month or so where we really do need to bundle up and get cold. You know, having humidity in the wintertime makes it feel a little bit colder too. But again, not something that's very extreme or lasts very long.
Yep. The third thing that I did want to cover is whether or not we do have a rainy season here. And as far as I've been here, I have not been able to tell whether or not we have a rainy season. I do not see it. There are times where we get, like, you know, there was like a week in July where we got quite a bit of rain, you know, and it seems like you'll get it in groups where it's like, you know, it pours for a good 15 to 20 minutes and then just stops, or you have those nighttime thunderstorms where sometimes the lightning is waking you up. But outside of that, you really can't put a date on when we do have that rainy season here in Florida.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it a full season, but we do have those times a year, you know, summer, late spring, where we get the afternoon showers. They're quick. A lot of people will pack up and leave the beach because they see it coming. After living here for a while, we just get under the tent for a little bit, because in 30 to 45 minutes you're good to go again. And it doesn't happen every day. It can be consistent for a week or so, but never a full season of it.
Yeah, and I will tell you, like, the soil that we do have here in the Emerald Coast, a lot of it's just sand. And so when you do have these rapid downpours where it seems like you get a ton of water in a small amount of time, there really is not much flooding. You do see some lower areas where it does kind of pool up, you know, at the base of the driveways or something like that. But if we had that same rain where I came from back in Colorado, where we had a ton of clay in the ground, it would definitely be flooding. Where here, it just seems like it melts off pretty quick. It seems like it does drain into the ground pretty quick. So you really don't have to worry too much about flooding. Of course, when you come down here, we are going to be checking those flood zones to kind of see what water levels we are at. There's different numbers that they do use so that we can tell whether or not you were going to be within that flood zone. The fourth one, I know this is definitely one of the biggest things that you always bring up, and We're going to be talking about hurricanes. I personally cannot talk to this because I haven't experienced a hurricane here yet. Technically, when you look at, kind of Google it, when's hurricane season in Florida, it's from June to November. Outside of that, that's pretty much all I could give you. I'm going to bring this one over to Trent because he is the expert when we are talking about hurricanes in this area.
I have definitely been through some hurricanes.
Yep.
And yeah, June to November is the documented full season. I'd say September, October is where we're really focused and paying more attention. But the thing for hurricanes with me, I mean, nobody wants to go through them. Nobody wants to have them here, but at least it's something that we can prepare for.
Yeah.
I was talking to Pete the other day, like, tornadoes scare me way more. Those things are unpredictable. They happen fast. I wouldn't know what to do with those. But with the hurricane season, at least, if something gets into the Gulf of Mexico, we start paying attention to it. Something starts moving a little bit closer to our area, hopefully we've already prepped. But things like gasoline, propane, water, these are things that maybe just to get at the beginning of the summer just to have, and they're things that you'll go through anyway. So keep them for the season, and then I like to think when I have all that stuff, we're not going to get a hurricane. The second I don't have it is when something tends to come. But the hurricane itself, usually not the worst part. It's the week or two that follows. It's typically hot. Power, can be out for a few days. People don't have AC. Some people can't go to work. So that's what you really need to prepare for. A lot of people, all gather around and cook everything that's in the freezer. Because, it's going to be melting anyway. So they get out and they barbecue together and they just talk about the heat and when we'll be out of it. But there are ways to prepare for it. We've been through them before. Hopefully it's going to be a while before we have another one. But, September, October, I'm always grateful when we kind of start getting out of November and we haven't gone through one.
Yeah, guys. And so another thing, like when we first moved down here, Trent kind of told us, he's like, hey, do you have a generator? Make sure you have that generator. A window AC unit. I'm kind of on the part where I'm so kind of waiting for this or be prepared for this situation. I'm literally building a shed in my backyard that has a window AC unit, and the entire thing can be powered by a generator just in case that does happen. That way we're not having to worry about sticking to the heat inside of our house or anything like that. So I'm probably the extreme. Don't follow my example. And of course there's all the other things, make sure you have some flashlights, glow sticks, anything like that so you can light the inside of your house in case there is a power outage. Outside of that, guys, like I said, we'll do our best to inform you when you do move down here what to do, when to prepare for these hurricanes.
There's several different versions of it. You can do a whole house generator that basically won't change much. The whole house generator will kick on, it'll run everything that you've got. Or you can get a portable 5,000, 6,500 watt generator, a little window unit that'll power the window unit, keep one of your rooms cool. It'll probably give you a light, a refrigerator, maybe a couple other appliances. It's really what's most important to you and your comfort level. But these are things, once you're here and settled, maybe to go ahead and have on hand. Because again, I go back to it. I haven't had a hurricane since I got my generator.
So. Just kind of going back to what Trent talked about, though, with tornadoes. Like I said, I'm over in Colorado. We did have tornadoes almost to the point where one literally dropped down in the middle of my son's 5th birthday. That's just unexpected. Recently we had Beryl, and everyone, we were keeping an eye on it. We knew that there was a slight chance it might hit us, not too much of a chance that it's going to hit us, but we were still watching it just to see if it was going to turn, if it was going to come up more near the panhandle. Good thing it didn't, but at the same time, we are aware, and the buzz is always going around town. Hey, let's make sure we keep an eye on this hurricane right here. So good thing is, like, you kind of have time to prepare just in case.
And since we're talking about real estate, something to note, and just kind of keep in the back of your head, if you are, say, under contract or looking to buy in here, if there is a hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico, the insurance policies will freeze everything. They will not issue any new policies until that hurricane has made landfall and moved on. So if you're maybe in that point where you have gotten everything done, you've gotten your inspections done, your closing date's coming up, and there's a hurricane headed towards the Gulf of Mexico, go ahead and lock in your insurance, because otherwise we could be a little while before we get it.
I'm actually glad that Trent brought this up, because when we had our property down in Clearwater, this is right around the time that Ian was hitting, and when it was hitting, they wouldn't allow us to throw hurricane insurance on top of it because of the fact that there was like, holy crap, there's going to be a hurricane here soon. So I'm glad that Trent brought that up. When we are looking into that, just know there might be a moratorium on being able to add those extra coverages when we are talking about insuring those homes. Of course, we are going to keep you as informed as possible. The 5th thing that we wanted to cover is the fact that it is pretty damn sunny here. And I actually came from a state where, Colorado is known for having 300 days of sunshine. I can say that there's definitely more sunshine here, and it is amazing. You don't really experience too many of those gloomy days. I kind of noticed, correct me if I'm wrong with this trend, but it seems like as you're kind of shifting from spring over into summer, those days were the most gloomy. Where now in the summertime, it just seems like it's sunshine all the time.
Yeah, going back to when we were talking about rainfall, we've got consistent sunshine all the time.
Yeah.
We might have those 15-20 minute showers in the afternoon, but the majority of the day is going to be sunshine. The majority of the summer is going to be sunshine days. Plenty to go around down here, definitely.
Yep. Along those lines, breaking into the sixth thing that we want to talk about is that the sun is not as intense here. I'm going to tell you right now, I have not put on sunscreen in I don't know how long, and I am at the beach every single weekend. I am always outside, and I never use sunscreen whatsoever. Whereas back where I lived before, that would have been a problem. I would have been burned all the time. Chelsea, same thing. She couldn't even get a tan where we lived at before because the sun was so much more intense at those higher elevations. The sun is just a lot more friendly here. At the same time, please make sure that you are protecting yourself when you are coming down here. You know, still putting a coat of sunscreen on. We still make sure that we do our kids, even though realistically they probably wouldn't burn because they have my skin for the most part. But yeah, it's just the sun isn't as intense here, so even though you're in the sunshine all the time, don't take it as seriously as I'd say like at a higher elevation.
Yeah, I'd say I'd agree with the majority of what Pete's saying over here. I was in Colorado for a while as well,
Yep.
and the higher elevation, the thinner air, you definitely can get nailed by the sun out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That being said, here Pete's pretty lucky to not have to wear sunscreen. When you get out on Pensacola Beach, the sand is so white, which is one of the things we love about it. It is like sugar, but it is so white that it reflects from all angles. The sun can really, really get to you out on Pensacola Beach. So not as intense when we're talking about the air and the proximity to it in the mountains in Colorado, but do put on sunblock.
Yeah.
If you're in town walking around for lunch, going for runs, things like that, you're probably okay. But heading out to our beaches, protect yourself. It can creep up on you fast.
Yep. Another thing on that as well too is when I am at the beach, Chelsea is different. She likes to sit in the sun. She's got that crazy thing going on. I don't know, but me personally, I am under a canopy or some type of sunshade the entire time. That might be a big reason why I don't have to put on sunscreen, but those sunshades on the beach will help out quite a bit. The seventh thing that I did want to cover in regards to the Emerald Coast is when you are out on this Emerald Coast, we're not necessarily talking about the mainland, is we have this ocean breeze that comes across, and it makes the weather so much more mild as compared to being on the mainland. I think we recorded a video in Milton sometime, it was probably about a year ago or something like that. Guys, I was sweating my butt off. It seemed like it was 5 degrees warmer up there. Same goes for Pensacola downtown. When you're up there, it just seems so much hotter up there as compared to being in this ocean breeze on the Emerald Coast.
Yeah, it's something that I don't even realize sometimes until I go further inland. I feel like I'm really, really hot here. And then just last weekend, we had to go up into Alabama for the kids' soccer tournament, and that was some heat. That was some still air.
Yep.
Felt like it was rising from the ground, coming from the top, all angles. I had a fan. It was really just moving hot air back and forth. So I do appreciate the breeze we have. Sometimes it takes me going further inland to really appreciate it more, but I certainly do.
The eighth thing that we wanted to cover, and this came up more than anything recently because we had some family, some friends that did come out, is you do acclimate to the weather here. I remember when I first got here, it kind of seemed like it was a little intense, and now I'm pretty used to it. I went out golfing in the middle of July. I was fine, whereas the family that I went with was not fine. They're like, get me out of this dang heat. I want to go sit in the AC. So you do acclimate to it, and eventually it just becomes normal to you.
Yeah, I agree with Pete. You start to acclimate. You just start to accept what we have going here. I look at all the other positives we have going on, because if you're trying to stay out of the heat all the time, there's a lot you're going to miss out on. So, there's just days where I accept we're going to be sweaty.
Yep.
Give me a sweaty hug. Let's go have a good time, and we'll cool off and get in the pool when we're done with whatever we're doing. So embrace it, enjoy it. It's going to be hot in certain seasons, but I think the juice is worth the squeeze.
Yeah, I agree, guys, and I feel like the people who make the biggest deal out of the weather that we do have here are the ones who are staying inside all day. Just get out and embrace it. Listen, guess what? When I go out to meet you guys, or Trent goes out to meet, we might be sweating. We live in Florida, okay? And so when you get out and you expose yourself to it more and more, it just becomes a natural way of life, and you just go out and do what you need to do, and just know that you might be sweating a little bit more than usual. All right, thank you so much, guys. I greatly appreciate you watching. Like I said, we're glad that we always like bringing videos to you guys when you guys, hey, talk about this, talk about that. I know we have a backlog of a few things that a lot of you are asking about Pace, a few of these other cities. We are planning on covering that. Now that the kids are back in school, we have a lot more time to kind of go up there and do that. But thank you so much for watching. If you are looking at purchasing real estate in the Emerald Coast, give us a call or text at that phone number right below. Right below it there, we always answer. It doesn't matter date or time, but if you're not quite ready to purchase, why don't you follow along by smashing that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, notification bell. That way you're notified every single time that we put out a brand new video. Until next time, we love you. Bye.